and welcome to the Carla Knits Podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, sometimes crocheting, but always all of the yarny goodness that I love. Today is Saturday, January, 14th. It's been almost a month since I visited with you. It was not intended to be that length of time, but I am really excited to be back and share what's been going on with you all. It's episode 67. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as cbcraftygirl, and we do have a Ravelry group for this podcast, and we've got lots to talk about with the Ravelry group today. So we're just gonna get in. I have been making notes. I've got little pieces of papers. I've got sticky notes. I've got notes in my notebook here. So I hope you'll bear with me as I'm glancing down at different scraps of paper here as we go through this podcast today. But thank you all for joining me. I appreciate all of you subscribers who have stuck with me and come back each time. And if you're new, welcome. And I hope that you enjoy this podcast, and we'd love to have you join our Ravelry group for makealongs. So speaking of makealongs, we had one come to a close at the end of 2022. So we had a Love Your Stash make-along, which was using your stash yarn. And let's see, I'm going to look here. I drew quarterly prizes throughout the year. So the last quarter would have been October, November, December. So we're already mid-January, but I'm drawing from that last quarter. So in the chatter thread, there were actually a total of 2010 chatter posts, but I did from the first post in October through the last in December. So it would be the numbers were 1,754 through 2010, and I did a random number generator. And the number that was picked was 1,788, and that is Brittany. Brittany, congratulations on that. And I will just share what you are winning. So maybe, I don't know if I'll take it out of the I should probably take it out of the plastic. So these are actually, I have one, and this is my favorite little thing. It's this little tea bag notions pouch by Random Fandom Bags. And this is a really cute penguin one. And it's got this clear pouch. And I've included some light bulb stitch markers, but I use mine, just for light bulb stitch markers. And I keep that handy so I can, just see the light bulb stitch markers, but you could use it for any small notions. So I think that is that is one of my favorite tools. So I thought it would be fun to share with you. And also, I left everything in plastic. Also a DPN holder, or you could also use this for, regular needles for, magic loop socks. But this is a little needle cozy by Daisy Girl. It's got cute yarn balls and needles on there. So congratulations to you, Brittany, from that chatter thread. And for the finished object thread, there were a total posts of 1,082 finished object posts. And so you guys just did a great job with using your stash yarn last year. And so from October to December, the numbers were 836 to 1,082. And the number that was drawn was 872. Ravelry username is Bork P. This just happens to be Peggy, who was my swap partner. So congratulations to you, Peggy. I will also be sending you one of these little pouches with, it's the same type, the penguin little tea bag case with the clear window with the stitch markers in there, and also this skein of yarn. So this is Fuzzy Cactus yarn, who I don't think is dyeing anymore, but this beautiful rich purpley color with this green and dark greenish blue in there, just beautiful. So this is a sock skein, and the yarn name or the colorway is called This Is Me. So congratulations to you. So Peggy and Brittany, I already have your addresses, so I will be getting those in the mail to you. So congratulations to you ladies, and thank you to all of you who have participated. So having said that about the stash mail of 2022, I should say Happy New Year. It is 2023, and I am continuing with the Love Your Stash mail. So I already have a thread, a chatter thread and finished object thread open, and you guys have already been using it, which is great. I did post some rules in the chatter thread, so I'd love to have you join us. Again, it is using stash yarn, but there are a couple tweaks, I guess I would say, to it this year, and I gotta see if I can remember. I didn't review before I sat down to podcast, but you can use new yarn in a project as long as you are using at least 50% of stash yarn. So if you have stash yarn and you need to buy some yarn to complete the project that you need to do, or I guess that's right. So the best example I could say is the City Limit sweater that I made last year, the pink sweater. I wasn't sure I was going to have enough for the very bottom of the sweater, and so I had already used, I was already using 6 skeins out of my stash, so I bought a 7th skein, to coordinate with that. So something like that would be great. So if you have skeins in your stash, but you need additional skein or skeins to make a project, we're counting that in the stash make along. If you have patterns, so you might be using new yarn, but if you are using a pattern that you have stashed previous to this year, so either your Ravelry library, or it could be magazines or books that you have, you can use those as well. But a full list of rules is in that chatter thread. And this year I will be drawing, what am I trying to say? The prizes will be patterns on Ravelry. That just makes it a little bit easier for me. So then it is, open to everyone. So not just US residents, but anyone and everyone can participate. And I'd just love to see you join in. So if you haven't already, please do so. Okay, that's that one. We also have the Adventurous Make Along 2023, which I am co-hosting with Yarnet Heidi. Hi Heidi. And this started December 1st and goes through January 31st. So a couple weeks left for this one. So this was, any Advent projects we were working on. You could be using your mini skeins you got from Advent calendars. It could be an Advent pair of socks, that self-striping, Advent yarn. It could just be mini skein projects that you were making in the month, starting in December. So there are some finished object posts in there, and chatter thread, I believe. I have that going on. So again, that goes just a couple more weeks, and then I will be drawing prizes for that. And if you use the hashtag on Instagram, let's see, Adventurous Mal 2023, you can be entered to win a prize over there. And Heidi is hosting the Instagram part of this make along. So, all right, we have one more make along to talk about, guys. We have a blanket make along. This is very, very informal, but I'm glad you guys are excited. I had a lot of comments on the last episode. I think it was the last episode where I talked about my Scrappy blankets, and you all seemed interested in having a blanket along. So I'm running it for the entirety of this year there is one thread on Ravelry, so it's chattered and finished object thread. So if anyone finishes a blanket, that's just incredible. But you can post that twice. So that's, yeah. So twice your post if you finish your blanket. But it's just really fun seeing what people are working on, if you're starting blankets or what blankets that you have. I shared on the last podcast, I have a granny stripe blanket, a Cozy Memories blanket, the blanket that Jeff's grandma started, and I would like to finish. And then I have my Advent blanket, which I will be talking about too on this episode. So I have some blankets that I would like to be working on as well. So please feel free to join us over in the Ravelry thread, chatting about your blankets. So I think that is it for the make-alongs right now. I think so, and I've got the winners, so that's good. I feel like I have lots to talk about today, guys, and I don't feel the most organized, but I'm going to do my best here, okay? So I think we will just go right in. We'll have more chatter towards the end, but we're going to go ahead with what I am wearing. So this is an old shawl. I cannot remember when I knit this. I looked up the name of it and the yarn, but I didn't look at the date, but it is several years ago. This is called Jamie's Shawl, and it is by Cozy Up Knits. So it is named after Jamie, the oldest sister in the family. And I believe they have shawls named after each of the sisters, but this is Jamie's Shawl. This is a worsted weight shawl. Lots of fun textures in here. This was really fun to knit. It took I think 4 skeins of worsted weight yarn, and I used let's see, this was Maker's Haven. I miss her dyeing yarn. I loved her yarn, but Maker's Haven, and I think it was Gust of Wind. Let's see, I don't see where that I don't see where that note went to. Yeah, no, I do. Gust of Wind. So I really like this this shawl. So yeah, it's not too cold of a day right now, but I did want to wear something knitwear just to be nice and cozy for the podcast. I think we're supposed to get into the 40s. So we had a really cold day yesterday here in Nebraska, you know, where it was in the 20s, but now this weekend a little warmer, and we kind of keep going up and down where we'll have a cold day and then some warm days, and yeah, just kind of up and down with our weather. All right, so that's what I am wearing. I'm going to go ahead with some finished objects here. So let's see, the first finished object I will share parts of, so they're finished squares. So these are for my creative Advent throw by Cozy Up Knits. So I have made 4 more squares. I will just take time to hold these up each. The yarn is Dye Lot Studio, and I bought 2 different fall themed sets of hers. It's a DK weight. And my intention was to knit these all up during the month of December, so it would have been 24 of them. I will say I have a total of 17 squares, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I shared this on the last podcast, but again, I'm going to just say one of you viewers, Lisa, suggested maybe to make it an ongoing Advent blanket. So I am going to do that. So I have, you know, my 17 squares, and I will continue maybe in the month of December this year to work on it as an Advent project, unless the mood strikes me and I might want to work on it at another time, because each square is a really portable, easy project. So or good card knitting too, or appointment knitting. So I might do that as well, but no pressure to finish it as of 2022. The size of the blanket was going to be too small for what I wanted, so I'm going to keep adding to it with different mini skeins. And yeah, so with some different mini skeins, and I think that's what I want to say about that. But it's a really fun project, so if you need a new Scrappy blanket to be working on, this is a really fun one. Yeah, I think that's what I want to say about that blanket. So 4 finished squares. The next finished object I have is this dishcloth. So this was the final dishcloth for December from the kitchen sink shop. This was called Marmy's dishcloth. So it was a final, she was basing her dishcloths on books, and so she used Little Women again. And Marmy was the mom in Little Women. And this is just a really, really pretty texture. I really like how this one turned out. The yarn is a cotton yarn. It did not have a tag, but it's one of those, you know, Lily sugar and cream, or peaches and cream. So I did complete all 12 dishcloths for 2022. So that feels like a really nice accomplishment. It was really fun. She, if you are interested, she is doing the Year of the Dishcloth again, and I think she is basing it on sweets or sweet treats. So, you know, I am still, you know, getting the emails from her, and I will print it off, but I don't know that I'm gonna, I shouldn't say put the pressure on myself. I guess I did put the pressure on myself a little bit to finish those dishcloths. But in the same token, it was really fun. So I don't know. I'm going to print off the dishcloth each month, but I don't know that I'm going to make all of them. So we will see as the year goes on, but I'm really excited that I did complete, you know, all 12 for 2022. And I think they are going to go into my, kitchen drawer now. I'm probably going to go through some of my old dishcloths and throw them out and start the year with some new fresh dishcloths. All right, and my final finished object for today is this fun pair of Christmas socks. And this is, I'm actually really proud of these. This is my first colorwork pair of socks. This is by Darcy. Hi, Darcy, of Chit Chat Knits. It is called, let's see, Shiny Bright. I believe I have that right. I was going to say bright shiny, but no, Shiny Bright socks. So something that was new to me was using a 9-inch circular for the colorwork portion. So I did do that. I tried them on, and I was able to get them on. I know the concern is always with colorwork that it's maybe going to be too tight to get over your, you know, your foot or your ankle. But I can get it up. And now, you know, they've been on the blockers, and now they almost look a little loose, but we'll see. But the yarn I use, oh, I didn't write this down. I want to say Tippy Tree Yarns. I think that's right. And I can't remember the colorway. It has something to do with Christmas. So it's definitely a Christmas yarn. I really like how that knit up. I think that is really pretty. And the minis were just some various minis in my stash. And it did not use very much of the minis at all. But I think these are really fun. And I will put these away. And it's going to be really fun to pull these out next year in December to wear. So that was a really fun pattern. All right, so those are my finished objects. Time to talk about some whips. So I think the first one I'll talk about is my blanket. So part of the blanket along. And I'm going to have to bend down because it's kind of on the floor here. It's gotten too big. So this is the Crochet Granny Stripe Afghan by Lucy of Attic 24. I don't think I have a project page on Ravelry. I honestly don't remember. I don't think I've ever taken a picture of it, but I could be wrong. Maybe at some point I did. I'm going to have to look at that. It has gotten really big, and I haven't done a whole lot, but the rows do take a long time. I'm looking for the marker here. So this little marker is where I was, and so I've made, I think, eight rows back and forth, or eight rows total. So it's not a lot, but it's still a couple of inches, so I'm really happy with that. This is a really fun project to work on, just seeing all of the bright colors. So this is all fingering weight yarn. I have which only looks like one color right now, but this is a magic knot ball. So I had a red at the top, and now it's going into this other Christmassy colored yarn. I will try to to give you a little bit of an idea. Yeah, it's well past my feet. So I don't know how much you can see, but there's a lot of blanket here. Oh, it's really nice and cozy. So I am going to make it to fit the size of a twin bed, and I'm getting closer. When I'm done with this magic knot ball, I'm going to lay it out on the twin bed and see where we're at. I had thought about adding a border, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to add a border. If you have made a crochet granny stripe Afghan with fingering weight yarn, tell me if you have made a border. Have you put a border on it? Yeah, just the thought of picking up all those, not picking up, I don't know, going down the whole length of the blanket is like, So I think once I finish, it will be finished, unless at some point I want to go back and add a border on. So I can't really tell you for sure if I know I'm close to being done, but I don't know exactly how close. But I'm really enjoying working on this project. This has been a really fun project. I know I did start it in 2018, so that's a long time to be working on it. So because this one is so far along, I feel like I can get this done. That can be checked off my list this year, and it will be a lovely blanket to have out on the twin bed in this yarn room. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, rather than having it, all bunched up and stuck in a bag. It will be a beautiful blanket on the bed. So really looking forward to having that. I'm just going to set that down. All right, a couple other things that I have been working on, and I did forget to look up the name of this pattern. You know what? I'm going to grab my iPad really quick. See if, oh, no. You know what? I think the pattern is in the bag. Well, how good is that? There we go. All right. So this is a pair of socks. So currently this is the only pair of socks I have on the needles. I really just finished those Christmas socks a couple days ago. Yeah, a couple days ago. So this is the only other sock I have on my needles. This is called So Simple Sports Sock by Glenna C. And you can see it's got a fun cable texture, or a cable there, and it's got, some ribbing, and I am through the heel flap. I think I'm still working on those decreases, I believe. This project is what I work on at night. Every night after supper, our cat Reese's likes for me to come downstairs with her and go in the room where she has her cat food. So it's actually the laundry room and other part of my craft room. And I sit in a chair, and I just have to sit there with her, and I work on this sock. So, whether it be 5 minutes of sitting there or 10 minutes. So I've just been doing this month, a little bit here and there, a few minutes here and there. So I don't feel like I've really worked super hard on it, but it's been a lot of fun. The yarn that I am using is yarn from Stash, and look how big this is. This is This is Madeline Tosh, and this is called Work Sock. And it says heavy fingering sport weight, which it definitely is. And I truly would almost compare it to a DK weight, because the numbers pretty much are working up, you know, at a DK weight. But this is Mad Tosh Work Sock. So it is a 75 merino wool, 25% nylon. It does say heavy fingering sport weight, and it's 400 yards. And the color is Cosmic Silver. So I know my cake is really kind of messed up here. But it's got all of these fun speckles in it. I really like that. But that has been caked up on my shelf for so long, and I think for years, and I think my hang up with it was that I knew it wasn't a true fingering weight, and I had only knit fingering weight socks. Well, now since I've knit DK weight socks, I'm like, well, let's just try it. Let's see what's going to happen with this. So I did find this sport weight pattern, and we'll see how this works up for that. But I'm going to be really excited to use this. This is stash yarn, to you know, to have used this out of my stash with this pair of socks. So I should say it is in this cute Michigan bag by Special T Sewing. That was from Etsy, but I don't think she is on there any longer. But for those of you who might be new, I grew up in Michigan, and so my heart kind of still belongs there, and that's supposed to be, you know, the area where my family lives, Grand Haven, Spring Lake area. So I'm keeping it in that bag. The other two projects I have are both shawls. So I don't feel like I made a lot of shawls last year, and we're going to talk about my projects for 2022 in a little bit. So to start out 2023 with 2 shawls right away seems a little strange, but also really, really fun. So the first shawl that I'm going to show you is in this cute bag. And I don't know the name of the shop, but it's Lizzie Saxt on Instagram, and she is a part of the Pearled in Texas podcast, and this bag is just so cute. I am participating in Cozy Up Knits mystery shawl knit along. I think this is their 6th year of doing. Yep, it says welcome to the 6th annual Cozy Up Knits MCAL. And so they have a mystery shawl in January, and a clue comes out each week. The first clue came out on December 31st, New Year's Eve. So I actually did start it on New Year's Eve. And if you are working on this and don't want to see it, then I will give you warning before I hold it up, because, you know, it is a mystery shawl and some of you may not want to see it. But 2 clues have come out, and number 3 probably will come out sometime tonight. Yep, clue 3 should come out tonight. So I do have clues 1 and 2 completed. The yarn that I'm using, I'm going to insert a picture here. It's 1 skein of fingering and 10 mini skeins. So I did go to my local yarn store, one of my local yarn stores in Lincoln, to pick up the light purple color from the picture, and that is called that dyer is Fiber MacGyver in the Thistle colorway, and that's a new dyer to me. But the mini skeins that I'm using are primarily from Dye Lot Studio. So I'm using her yarn for the Creative Advent Throw, and again, this was part of a mini skein set that she had called Christy in Wonderland. I believe it was named for Christy Glass, and Christy Glass used the mini skeins as baubles for a sweater that she designed. But I really liked the colors in the mini skein set, so I had gotten that a while ago. So that mini skein set had been sitting in my stash, but I am going to show the shawl now, what I have completed. let's see, I don't know which side is right. And it's a little bunched up on the needles, so I don't know exactly how well you'll be able to tell what's going on, but hopefully you can see the different wedges. Maybe I'll turn it this way. So this, through this part, what from the bottom to there was clue 1, and then this mesh section this week was clue 2. The colors are really bright and fun. It kind of reminds me of Easter springy colors, so I think it's going to be a fun pop of color in the spring. The first 2 of the mini skein sections were seed stitch, and I'm going to be honest, I do not like seed stitch. If I had known there was going to be seed stitch, I'm not sure I would have done this because I really don't like doing it. It seems very time consuming and cumbersome to me. But I did make it through. But then this week's section with the lace portion, that was really fun, and that seemed to go much faster. So I'm kind of curious to see what clue 3, I'm wondering if it's going to be back to the seed stitch or maybe a complete whole new texture is what I'm hoping for. So I believe, let's see, there will be 3 additional clues. The other day, Jeff asked me if I was working on my secret code shawl because I had tried to explain to him about the mystery knit along with the shawl and how you got a clue each week. So he just said, "How's that secret code shawl?" I thought that was really cute. But so that's a fingering weight shawl. So a lot of work and a lot of stitching time has gone into that. And then the other shawl I cast on is in this cute bag by 3 Goobers on Etsy. And again, she is going out of business. But this fun typewriter bag, I absolutely love it. It's been a great bag for this shawl. The shawl that I am knitting on is called Knit Night, yes, by Tammy Gore. And this is one that I had in my library. I'll hold that up. So there's a picture of the shawl. Hopefully you can see that. So I had this in my library. I must have had it for a while. I don't know what year, if it says what year it came out. Oh, it says 2019. So it's been in my Ravelry library for a while. So I can say I am using a stash pattern. So that's good. Not only that, I am using 3 skeins of yarn from my stash. So it is a DK weight pattern. And I did not have 3 skeins of DK weight that I really liked together. I could find like 2 together, but 3 coordinating ones because I have a lot of the the speckly stuff and just didn't go together. So I decided to use fingering weight. So I did find 3 fingering weight skeins of yarn that have all been in my stash for a while. So I will share those now with you. Here is the shawl, and I'm actually getting very close to the bottom, and it's kind of bunched up on the needle. I'm actually getting a longer needle in the mail this weekend because this has been so bunched up, it's kind of hurting my hand. But this beautiful dark burgundy red is by Barnyard Knits in the Japanese maple colorway, and I just love the beautiful tonal color of that. This creamy color, which is actually speckled, I'm not sure if you can pick that up in the stripes, but that speckled color, I've had that probably the longest. That is a Lolo Did It and it's one of the sock bases. I didn't have the tag anymore, but I know it's the Dowager Countess colorway. So that was a Downton Abbey colorway, and I love Downton Abbey. So when I saw that, I really, had to have that yarn. And then this purpley mauve color is a very special skein of yarn, and I think that's why I have been holding on to it for so long. Maybe I will hold it up this way So there's some pretty lace going on in this section. This purple yarn is actually a skein that I won, and I just have a very little bit left now. So this section really ate up the yarn. This was a yarn by Adelaide Cottage, and Shauna had hosted a knit along in her Ravelry group, and I was actually a prize winner. So I won a skein of her yarn, and it was in the colorway Cordelia. So it was an Anne of Green Gables inspired colorway. And I think this is the first skein or first prize I ever won on a podcast, and I was so excited. I remember sitting on my, I think this is the right one, sitting on my front porch and, you know, listening to her podcast and hearing my name on that, and I started screaming. You know, I was just jumping up and down, so excited. And I think at the time, if I remember, this is from the skein of yarn, my daughter had some girls sleeping over in our camper. We had set it up in the driveway for her to have a sleepover. And so they were all wondering what I was so excited about. But then they were so sweet and got really excited for me. But yeah, just this beautiful skein. So I've been holding on to this for a while, but I'm so glad I used it. I think this shawl is, you know, turning out so beautiful. I am making this for someone. So lots of thoughts have been going into this shawl, but I just think the colors together are so pretty, and I'm really excited, you know, to be using up some of the beautiful yarns that are in my stash. And I think, you know, I really need to continue looking at, excuse me, my fingering weight yarns and holding them double, you know, to achieve either a DK or light worsted weight, you know, yarn, so that I could use in, you know, shawls, accessories, you know, hats, mittens, whatever. So yeah, just kind of looking at the stash in a new way. So those are my active projects right now. I'm going to get back to my notes a little bit. Yeah, things are just falling all over the place here, but I think it's out of the way of the camera, so you can't see that. Those are the ones I wanted to see. Oh, one more thing about the Adelaide Cottage yarn. That was from 2017, so that's how long that's been in my stash. So really excited to use that. All right, I will just share a little bit of a wrap up of 2022. I think I will start with my Make 9 boards. So if you have been following along for a while, or at least since the beginning of 2022, you will hopefully remember that I made 2 Make 9 boards. This is something that Amy of Noble Character Crafts hosts each year. You know, having an idea of maybe 9 projects that you'd be interested in making for the year, and posting them on Instagram. And then if you work on them, sharing your progress or finished object pictures there. And then she picks people periodically, or picks prizes, or picks winners periodically for prizes. So I did make 2 Make 9 boards last year at the beginning of 2022. One was a gift Make 9 board, and one was a personal Make 9 board. And I'm just going to insert a picture of each here. So for my personal Make 9 board, I completed 4 of the projects on there. So that's okay. But on the gift board, I made, I believe, 6. I don't have that note in front of me right now, I don't think. Let's see. Nope. So on the gift board, I made 6 of the projects. So I think that's pretty good. So, you know, it is a fun way to track, you know, to track your progress. I wasn't really good about posting things on Instagram. Yeah, I just wasn't really. I'm not the photographer. I just don't have the skill or the patience to set up these beautiful photos with my knitting. So I just, yeah, I didn't take the time to post a lot of those things on Instagram, but it is a really fun idea. And, you know, if you're a planner and love to do that, then, you know, definitely check that out if you'd like to, you know, maybe plan some of your knitting projects for the year, or at least dream knitting for the year, or crocheting. Will I be make 9 boards this year? I don't think so. I'm trying to think of ways to lessen some of the stress in my life, including some, well, things that I have put on myself. So I think, you know, not making a make 9 board is just going to be one less thing that I am thinking about. I like the idea because I am a planner, but I think this year I'm just going to kind of go see where I go with my knitting, and kind of just let it take me and see where it evolves. Because last year I definitely, many different projects came up that I wanted to work on, and I did. So here is just a little bit of a rundown, or it is the rundown of the projects I made in 2022. So for sweaters, I made 7 sweaters. That includes 1 baby sweater, and it also includes a couple tees, you know, the short sleeve sweaters. So I still include that in sweaters. So 7 sweaters total. I made 3 shawls. I made 14 pairs of socks and 1 pair of slippers. 4 cowls, 1 scarf, 17 dishcloths, 3 blankets, 2 of those were baby blankets. 1 was the fall pumpkin tweed blanket. 7 hats, 1 pair of mittens, and then a couple miscellaneous things here. The crumpled griddle phone case, which was a test crochet that I did. 2 crochet cupcakes for my niece's birthday, and 1 gnome. So those are the projects that I made. So it came in for a total of 62 projects. So that feels like a good accomplishment. It's pretty fun adding those things up and just seeing what you did over the year. So I don't know that I would have guessed that I made 7 hats, but that was really fun. I really enjoy making hats. So yeah, so it was a fun breakdown of my projects. I think I will share more of my plans for 2023 in the next episode, because I feel like this is already getting a little bit long. Just a little bit of chatter. Yeah. Some of you probably know this already, but someone in our knitting community, her name is Brittany, and she was actually the winner in in the chatter thread from earlier. She has a podcast called the Turtle Burger Podcast, and she lost her son on Christmas night. And she has just been a real sweet friend to me. I have enjoyed getting to know her through the Ravelry group and through Zoom knitting. She has been one that has come to Zoom knitting, and I do consider her, you know, one of my good friends. So my heart has gone out to her, and you know, if you would just keep her family in your thoughts and prayers, I know that she would greatly appreciate that. It's hard because sometimes we feel so helpless, like what can we do? But you know, a kind word, lifting someone up in prayer, those are probably the best things that we can do. So my heart goes out to you, Brittany. So just sending so much love and hugs your way. I know I keep telling you, sending hugs your way. I wish I could give you a big hug in person, but a virtual hug will have to do. So please keep her family in your prayers and your thoughts. All right, just a little bit more chatter from me today. So a couple reasons why I have not podcasted in a while. If you can hear it in my voice, my nasally voice, I am still very much under the weather. I have had a sinus infection for about 6 weeks now. I have gone to the doctor 3 times. So if this last round of antibiotics doesn't work, then they are going to send me to an ear, nose, throat specialist, which I kind of feel like is what's going to happen, because I really can't seem to shake this. So it's yeah, it's just made me really tired, and my face really hurts. So it's just not been the most fun. So that's part of it. And I have had quite a cough too, although I'm really glad that I'm getting through this podcast episode. I went back to teaching this week and I had some coughing fits during my lessons. So I'm glad that I'm able to talk through this podcast today. Of course, we had Christmas in there too. I hope you all had, a wonderful Christmas or a wonderful holiday season, or just a wonderful, almost month since I've seen you last. There were so many kind comments on the last episode where Jeff and I played the piano, so thank you very much. That was really kind of you all. We had so much fun doing that. We ended up playing 4 different duets on Christmas Eve at church, which was really fun. So I am blessed that I have him, for so many reasons, as my husband, as a composer. He, his musical gifts he brings to so many, but I have someone that I can sit down and play the piano with here at home, and that is just such a tremendous blessing, and we just have a lot of fun together. So thank you all for your kind comments about that, and we'll have to get Jeff back in the future sometime, won't we? And then so Christmas, the holidays, I will share just a little bit. Jeff has 2 out-of-state job offers that came up mid-December, and so that has I'm going to be honest, that has been weighing on our minds quite a bit. So if you saw me post on Instagram about I was in St. Louis looking, for a yarn store suggestion. So we were in St. Louis visiting last week, and then in a couple weeks we will be going to the other job for a visit. So these were unexpected, but we are looking into these, but lots of factors and thoughts go into these decisions. Our family is here. Jenna, we're not sure what she's doing with college yet. So just lots of thoughts, lots of things to think about and consider. So that is kind of what has been going on here in our house, but always the knitting. My knitting is what brings me so much joy, and when the days are stressful, if I can sit down and knit some stitches at night, it feels great. So I think that is all I have to share with you all today. In my next episode, I hope to share some more knitting plans for 2023. I'm not making hard and fast plans, but I'll share some of the projects that I'm interested in, and I'll also share some stash that I've acquired. Most of it was at the end of 2022, but a couple things have snuck into my stash in 2023, which is probably just going to happen because face it, Carla loves yarn. So with that, I think I will stop for today. I hope that you all are well. I'm so glad that I got to take this time to sit down and chat with you all. I would love to hear what you are working on right now. Are you using stash? Are you what are you working on? Are you working on scrappy blankets? Do you have make 9 plans? Or are you just going to see how the year goes? What are your crafty plans for 2023? So with that, I hope to see you all in a couple of weeks. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.